Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Jenny Halpin. This evening, we warmly welcome the family of Lieutenant Colonel Clarence Didier Daly, whose story will be told shortly by Commander Michael Doncaster from the Royal Australian Navy, who is the great-nephew of Lieutenant Colonel Daly. Today marks Commander Doncaster's final duty in uniform as a full-time member of the Australian Defence Force, retiring after more than 45 and a half years of dedicated service. Sir, we thank you for your service. This evening, we are honoured to acknowledge the Councillor Defence of Israel to Australia, Mr. Ori Pearl, Defence Attaché of Turkey to Australia, Colonel Hakan Balki, Defence Advisor for Malaysia, Colonel Mohammed Fazil Mat Idris, Defence Attaché of France to Australia, Captain Jan Laurent Alan Leroux, Military Advisor to New Zealand, Lieutenant Colonel Nathan Mutu, Defence Attaché of the United Kingdom to Australia, Brigadier Nigel Best, Defence Attaché of the United States to Australia, Colonel Aaron Douglas Brooks, former United States Naval Attaché to Australia, Captain Kevin Cordera, retired, and Rear Admiral Phil Spedding, retired. We also warmly welcome members of Canberra Legacy and the delegation from the National Indigenous Australians Agency. As always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by family, visitors to the memorial, and students on behalf of Corpus Christi College visiting from Bateman in Western Australia, and students on behalf of Layla Park Public School visiting from Layla Park in New South Wales. Australia's Federation Guard is the tri-service ceremonial unit of the Australian Defence Force. They provide a ceremonial presence at civil and military events and during visits to Australia by foreign dignitaries. The Guard will now dismount the catafalque party from the tomb of the unknown Australian soldier. Now, if you are able, could I please invite you to stand and join in singing the national anthem?
Colourful party, a hand, colourful party, a hand,
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is God by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
colourful party, colourful party,
Students and those who require a seat, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where family and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Lieutenant Colonel Clarence Wells Didier Daly. Clarence Daly was born on the 5th of May 1890 in Hobart, Tasmania, the fourth of 6 children born to William Disney Daly and Florence Beck. William Daly was a member of the British peerage and Florence the daughter of the Belgian Consul General to Australia. The family moved to Melbourne and Clarence attended Camberwell Grammar and Wesley College. He studied at Melbourne University and joined the 64th Melbourne Infantry Regiment, a militia unit of the Commonwealth Military Forces. Already commissioned and working as a bank clerk at the outbreak of the First World War, Clarence transferred to the Australian Imperial Force, enlisting on the 19th of August 1914. His mother described him as a born soldier. Daly was appointed as captain of D Company, 6th Australian Infantry Battalion, and sailed with his unit from Melbourne on the troop ship Hororata on 19 October 1914. After some months training in Egypt, the 6th went ashore as part of the second wave at Anzac Cove on the 25th of April 1915. Daly led his men during the landings on Gallipoli and received a gunshot wound to his leg that first day. After time in the 1st General Hospital in Heliopolis 5, he rejoined his unit on the peninsula on the 26th of May and was promoted to Major that same month. Daly led B Company throughout the summer. Under constant bombardment and in a precarious physical position, his men suffered sickness, wounding and death. In July, Major Daly was buried by a shell burst, dug up, and the next day thrown into the air by the explosion of an 18-pounder shell. He was exhausted, had temporarily lost his sight, and was suffering conjunctivitis and was unnerved by shell fire. Daly was taken to the Australian hospital on the island of Lemnos. After a short convalescence, he rejoined his men and remained on Gallipoli for the rest of the campaign. After returning to Egypt and regrouping, Clarence Daly sailed for France on the 25th of March 1916, disembarking at Marseille 5 days later. The 6th entrained for northern France, and their first major action was at Pozières, where they sustained heavy losses. Daly was appointed temporary commanding officer of the 6th Battalion on the 22nd of August, by which time the battalion were exhausted and much depleted. After Pozières, they fought at Flanders before returning to the Somme for winter. On the 6th of October, Daly was recommended for the Distinguished Service Order for consistent good work and devotion to duty. The citation added, "He has displayed very great personal bravery. His coolness in trying circumstances has always exerted a good influence on the men around him." Daly was also twice mentioned in dispatches in 1917 for distinguished and gallant service in the field and devotion to duty. For the 6th Battalion, 1917 began with a series of engagements, culminating in April with the first of 2 attacks on Bullecourt. The first attack at Bullecourt did break into the German line, but ultimately failed. Daly was promoted to Lieutenant Colonel and Commanding Officer of the 6th Battalion that month. In April, Daly received another gunshot wound to the leg at Frimercourt. He was not long out of action though, and returned to his unit less than a fortnight later to fight in the Second Battle of Bullecourt. From a casualty perspective, Bullecourt was another disaster. Daly was detached to the 2nd Infantry Brigade as temporary commander on the 16th of July, rejoining his own unit a week later. Around this time, Daly's younger brother Gustav enlisted in the AIF. After the Gallipoli campaign, Clarence's older brother William had also joined up. The 6th Battalion fought in Belgium at Menin Road in late September 1917 and at Broodsign Ridge in early October, then were bogged down in the misery of the Passchendaele battles of late October and November. Another bitter winter followed. Daly's unit diarist recording in December, "The weather is very cold and ground frozen hard. This was preferable to the mud." The 6th rotated between the front line and support line. On the 12th of April 1918, Daly's battalion was moved to La Motte-Arbois in preparation for the Battle of the Lea. Late that night, Daly rode forward to reconnoitre the area, accompanied by another officer. At 5 a.m, Daly was hit in the abdomen by a shell fragment. He dismounted his horse and collapsed. He never regained consciousness and died soon after. He was 27 years old. Daly's brothers, William and Gustav, both served for a time in the 6th Battalion. Both suffered severe wounds but returned to Australia at the end of the war. Clarence Daly was posthumously mentioned in dispatches a 3rd time in 1918. He was buried in the Hazebrook Communal Cemetery. He lies there today. Beneath the inscription his mother chose for his grave, invoking the words of the family crest and motto, meaning "Faithful to God and King." Clarence Daly's name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Lieutenant Colonel Clarence Wells Didier Daly, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
Catapult party, Charles Hurd, arms.
They shall not grow old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the growing down of the sun, we shall remember them.
Catapult party, raise hand, arms. Catapult party, Charles Hurd, arms.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget.
Catapult party, in words, hand. Catapult party, quick, arms.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozieres or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of our director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.